Good morning. Welcome to our first positive psychology exercise today. My name is Avril, Ivory, health psychologist and psychotherapist. So each morning I'm going to give you a different exercise. So the first one is a self-care vision board. What is self-care? So self-care is a deliberate practice of care towards the self, physical, emotional, psychological. When we have good self-care, it improves our immunity, it improves our psychological well-being, it lowers our levels of anxiety, and it lowers our levels of depression. And yet, good self-care can be something that is very difficult to achieve at the current time. And in some cases, particularly amongst frontline workers or people who are taking care of young children and elderly parents, it may feel like a luxury. But good self-care is so important. So when we learn to mind ourselves on a really deep level, it has huge benefits for all of those around us. So what I want you to do today, it's a very simple exercise, is to write down a list, get your pen and paper, write down 5 to 10 self-care activities that really work for you. Things that when you do them, you have a real sense of warmth in your heart. Think, oh, I really enjoy doing that. Now, I'm conscious some of you might be quite anxious or your mood might be quite low. So it might even be difficult to think of 5 to 10 things that actually help you feel better. But if you can sit down and really ponder those for a few minutes. Now, self-care is hugely variable from person to person. It could be writing down your emotions, journaling what you're feeling. It could be going out into the garden and weeding a border that you've been meaning to do for months. It could be curling up with a dog or a cat on the couch. It could be watching a movie. It could be talking to a very good friend. It could be a space that you create for yourself where you are allowed to take a pause and feel what you are feeling, what is really coming up for you. Giving yourself permission just to breathe through the experiences that you're having in COVID for a few minutes in a day. That could be good self-care. It could be determining, oh, I'm going to do an hour of exercise every day. That really boosts my mental health. Whatever works for you. I have one client I spoke to yesterday. She said she'd often sit down and have a good cry, 15 to 20 minutes, release all the emotions she felt she was carrying, and afterwards she would feel so much better. So I want you to write down 5 to 10 self-care activities that really work for you at this time. You can add to it as the week goes on and change it. And then I want you to get it could be an A4 or A5 sheet of paper, or it could be a big board where you can pin things on. And I want you to choose words or phrases or cut out pictures from magazines or newspapers, or I want you to find things that actually represent your self-care activities. This is called a vision board. It should be very colourful, it should be very bright, use beautiful imagery, and put it in a place that you can see it. Several times a day you should be passing by your vision board so that it reminds you, it triggers you, my self-care activities. What am I doing today? It's also nice, I think, the evening before each day to sit down and say, tomorrow, what are my self-care activities are going to be? And if you're someone who's very busy, you make sure you allocate the time to do it. It could be 20 minutes in the day. Ideally, it will be at least an hour of self-care every day. But make sure it's on a bright vision board that really inspires you and uplifts you and triggers you to do your self-care. That's all for today. See you tomorrow morning.